NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene.
And I'm John Popko from Alt 92.1, and I'm the Saturday night host of Alt Natives on Alt 92.1.
Tonight, we're here with Pennsylvania Bigfoot Investigations. We've even brought Bigfoot himself right over there. They're hosting a Bigfoot and Brews event this Sunday, February 10th at Susquehanna Brewing Company in Pittston. So we're going to talk about that, of course, but we're also looking at some footprint evidence that they've brought with us, with them tonight. We're talking about the purpose of this group, why they believe there might be a Sasquatch in northeastern Pennsylvania or Pennsylvania in general, some stories, some sightings, much, much more. So please tune in for the full hour. We would love to hear from you personally. If you have any stories of sightings or anything like that, we would love to hear those. If you just want to ask questions of our guests tonight, you want to talk some weird conspiracy stuff, we'll get into some of that stuff too. Sure, why not? Throw it down below. We will get to them later in the show. But we would love to hear from you. It's much more fun when you guys participate and join our conversation. But before we get to the interviews, especially since we're talking about an event that's coming to Susquehanna Brewing Company, we have some beers that we should crack open.
Absolutely.
One of them from SBC. So Beer Boys always provides us with these wonderful crowlers every week. 72 beers on tap, and they always have some interesting specials. Today is their glass night, and it's also one of their famous tap takeovers. This time with Wicked Weed Brewing, so stop down and get some rare or barrel-aged beers on tap, including 2017 Bourbon Barrel French Toast, Bramble Barrel, Black Angel, and Black Aged Coffee, or Dark Aged Coffee, with a free Wicked Weed glass. And those are only for a limited time, so make sure you get down there right away if you want to try any of those. So what did they provide to us tonight?
A good old Heineken.
All right.
Haven't had one of those in a while. SBC 6th Generation Stock Ale.
Ooh, okay.
And Nimble Hill Orange Cream Lager. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
You're going to have to fight us for that one.
Well, I'll try a little bit.
Yeah, I figured we probably should go with the SBC to start.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
In honor of the, what is it called?
Bigfoot and Brews.
Bigfoot and Brews.
Which is this Sunday at 4 p.m. at Susquehanna Brewing Company. It's an all-ages event, so come on down, which we'll get into later on.
Yes, it is all ages, so you don't have to drink. You can bring the kids and stuff too.
Thank you.
I think we're probably going to be PG-13 tonight, but it might be.
I can't promise that.
Okay, yeah, especially once these start.
If you get me rolling, I don't know.
Yeah.
We will see.
I do love me some SBC.
Oh, that's
You
really
do.
good.
I do.
This is, I don't know if we've had this one before.
I don't think so.
No, they do, it's called Snozberry. It's one of their secret menu items, but it's an equal mix of their Blueberry Thrill, Raz the Roof, and their Orange, all mixed together, and it's out of this world.
That sounds
phenomenal.
awesome.
They have a secret menu.
Yeah.
Go in.
Oh, nice.
Fred didn't tell us about that.
He was here and he didn't even
Son
mention
of a
that.
You know what? We don't tell Fred everything.
Fred, you son of a bitch.
But Beer Boys has a half-price happy hour on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays from 9 to 11, and Fridays and Saturdays from 8 till midnight, and live entertainment on the weekends after 10, and there's never a cover. We also want to plug our other sponsor, the V-Spot, one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. I am sure Vinny will probably tune in at some point. I'm sure this is a subject that interests him. This week they have Jackson and Lissa on Thursday, Militia with Metal on Friday, Nowhere Slow will pack the place with pop rock on Saturday, and DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday. So now that we've got all that stuff out of the way, before we begin, I do want to mention that I personally want to be convinced. I'm a skeptic. I'm one of those guys. I'm sure you.
And we're going to work on that tonight.
You guys hate
We're going to
that.
work on it. We'll get you there.
You can grind me down.
We'll get you there.
We'll figure it out. But I just want to make it clear, I'm not convinced yet. I don't know if you guys are. Some of you maybe are. Some of you maybe aren't. We'd love to hear what your opinions are. A few years ago, actually, I interviewed a ghost hunting group, NEPA Paranormal.
Oh, Bob Christopher.
Yeah.
We know Bob very well.
So they were doing an investigation at Carbondale City Hall.
Okay.
And so I went down, and they were super nice, and they were really cool, and they showed me around, and here's what we're doing, and here's all the equipment, and some of it they made themselves, and other stuff that they bought and whatever, and they were, and he's going on and on and on. I'm writing, I'm really interested and whatever, and he looks at me like, you don't believe, do you? And I'm like, well, that's not the point of this. The point of this is me to listen to you, for me to interview you, to talk to you about this, and then show it to people, and then they can decide what they think. I mean, I think that's the point of journalism, is not to say, I think these guys are great, or I think they're full of shit. I have to be in the middle somewhere and say, hey, this is what they're doing. Do you agree or disagree with this? That type of thing. So that's pretty much what I'm here to do. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to talk about the evidence that you guys have, and the whole group in general. Not every member is here.
Right,
you guys have how many members?
4 altogether. So it's myself, my wife Michele, Bob, who's out in Bloomsburg. He couldn't make it down, and there's Rob, who's out in Wallapin. And I wish Rob was here.
Rob has actually had a sighting.
Rob actually seen one while living out in Washington as a kid. So
real convenient that he's not here right now.
real convenient.
Because I want to believe too. I do.
Well, here's.
But if you come to SBC this upcoming Sunday, Rob will be there and we'll share the story.
Okay.
The thing is, it's not 100% about believing in a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch, but there's something unidentifiable out there. There's so much evidence that can't be identified, and how in this day and age is that possible? That people can take in a hair sample or what have you, or even poop samples, scat, and they can't trace it to any living creature. So there's something that we don't know about that's
so you're
lurking.
saying there has been hair, there has been...
There's been a lot of things that people have all over the country that people have taken to labs that have just come back as unidentifiable. Because there's nothing to compare it to. Do you know what I mean? Like there's nothing definitive to say, yes, this is from this species. And that alone intrigues me, because I'm more of the skeptic. You're I am the one that talks him off the ledge a lot of times when he gets excited and he's like, look at this print. And then I'm like, I'm a bear. Boom, boom. And he goes, oh, yeah. But, that's the thing that keeps me interested is, well, then what is it?
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about yourselves. What do you guys do outside of this? What do you do for a living?
Okay. Outside of this, I'm a TSS therapeutic support staff. I work with special needs kids.
Oh, that's great.
So, and then my weekends are filled with bumming around the woods looking for Bigfoot.
Okay.
I work for the government.
You give a 35-day vacation? Unfortunately.
You know what though? One of the things that I think brought us together, we love nature. We love being, as much as you always have your phone, I'm always saying, Jason, put your phone away. Unplugging. Just camp. When we camp, people are like, do you go in a tent? Do you stay in a hotel? I'm like, we stay in a tent. Sometimes we don't even take an air mattress. We sleep on the ground. But getting into nature and really getting, it just takes you to a whole different place. Getting away from all the media and just everything, and.
You jumped around what you do you said you work for the government.
Yes, I do. What do I do? I work for Social Security.
Okay.
So.
I thought maybe she was like CIA or something.
I can't tell you what I do.
So what first sparked your interest in Bigfoot?
All right. So as a kid growing up, I remember being in 4th and 5th grade, always getting the Bigfoot books from the library, reading them. Was always into the Patterson-Gimlin film from California out in the late 1960s.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, here it is years later, and the show Finding Bigfoot comes out. And I said, holy cow, people actually go out and do this, and there's groups, and there's research, and there's all this collection of sightings. My mind was blown. So I started looking more at Pennsylvania and our local area here in Northeast PA, and my one buddy said, hey, there's a local group that does this. So I started bugging them with ideas and let me join. So I got in with those guys, and that's where I met Bob. And Bob and I decided, okay, a couple months down the line, we want to go off and form our own project, and that's where Pennsylvania Bigfoot Investigations came from.
Okay.
So we launched our group and did our first investigation in November of 2013, and the last investigation we did was investigation number 82.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, all across, we've been through Northeast PA, Central PA, the Northern Tier, we've been up to New York, we've been to Maine, Tennessee, North Carolina.
You guys got to get up to Canada. I heard there's a lot of
Yeah.
action
We
up
were
there,
just in
too.
Canada, but we were
On a cruise, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
neither, that's neither
we did
here
a
nor
lot of
there.
drinking.
On a cruise, you might find Loch Ness.
But when
Yeah.
he told me he wanted to do this, I said, you're crazy.
Mhm.
And what convinced me is he was so sincere about it, and he looked at me and he said, Michele, just think if I'm that person. He said, it's like catching lightning in a bottle. Somebody someday is going to be that person. And he
Are
said,
you sure
so.
of that?
The more I go out with them, the more sure I am. I've had some, like I said, I'm the skeptic, and I've had some stuff happen. I grew up in the woods. My parents took me camping, Girl Scout, I love being in the woods. But I've had stuff happen that has made me run for the car. So.
I definitely want to hear that story.
Yeah, would you like to share that story?
I don't know. Do you want me to share that story?
Share that story.
It was local. I'm not going to say where it was. We'll tell them where it was on Sunday. But it was local.
What year?
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah, because we were already married. And it was just an out and back hike. So, like a loop.
Yeah, it was one of those crazy 70-degree November days.
Like we
Where
both
it's like
got
you
out of
need
work and we were like, hey, let's take advantage of this nice fall weather. And the thing is, so you park your car, and where you went into the woods is where you're going to pretty much come out of the woods. And so we're going in, nothing. And we did see a lot of deer that day. It was a beautiful day in the woods. And we're coming back, and towards the end of the hike, there's you're like this, Jay. All of a sudden, the smell. And now, we're coming in the same way we went out. It smelled like if you took rotting fish and rolled it in a deer carcass and threw it in a dumpster all at once. It just hit you in the face.
Mhm.
And the hair on my arms stood up. And I just swore something was staring at me. And I just bolted. I've never, ever, again, we stay at places that there are no people around. We had a bear experience once.
Yeah.
We've had stuff happen in the woods, but that night there was something there. And that smell, it's okay. Where we were was by a lake, but if there were rotting fish, you would have smelled them on the way in,
Sure.
not just on the way out. So it was, when people talk about some people call Sasquatch skunk apes.
Yes.
So that
that was the
smell
smell.
was just, it hit you in the face. It was nasty, and it, like I said, have I ever run like that before?
No.
I'm not a runner.
Yeah.
So and
there's me all pumped up. Let's stay. And she's like, I'm gone.
I'm out of here.
Goodbye.
I'll be in the car. You do what you want, but I'll be in the car. So
Yeah, you get it. When you think of it too, if somebody does find it, is it going to be gentle? Is it going to come after you? Is it going to attack it?
There's stories of it. Intimidating people. If you're in an area, say camping, where there's possibly a Bigfoot, they might throw sticks at you, throw rocks at you, just try to scare you out. But there's actually no stories of them physically attacking someone, or they're very much in tune with kids. They like to watch kids from a distance. There's just, I don't know if you guys seen it, there's a story about 3-year-old kid down in North Carolina that disappeared into the woods. And the story was the kid got found a quarter of a mile from the house 2 days later, 3 years old in 20-degree weather, and he goes and tells everyone, oh, I stayed with the bear for 2 days. So immediately everyone in the Bigfoot community went and jumped on this. Wasn't with, no bear for 2 days. He got taken by a Bigfoot, and the Bigfoot took care of him and put him in a place where people were going to hear him and, find them. And
yeah, obviously something a bear is not going to do.
Obviously, something a bear's not going to do.
But then again, you said that area.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't support.
It wouldn't support a Bigfoot, but I'm just, saying for.
Yeah.
The story that you just told, are there a lot of stories very similar to that with the smell first and then that just
there's either the smell, there's usually some type of like the night on Jonestown Mountain with the howl.
Right.
Have you ever been out on a really hot summer night and you're outside and you could hear everything, all those, I call them heat bugs, all all the different, and we were way up on this power line on this mountain. There was one house up there, but I don't know how close anything else was. And those people knew we were there. And you could hear coyotes. There were some dogs. And one of the people with us did a pretty good howl. Everything went silent. Every bug, now what does that? Like what, all I could think about through that whole, and that again made the hair on my arm stand up. I'm thinking, what kind of creature have they heard that even bugs are like, shh, it's here.
Right.
And it took, probably not as long, like for us it seemed like forever, but it was probably a good 30 to 50 seconds before you even heard like a peep again of a, and it was just, because it was hot. That was a hot July night. You would just come back from Ohio, yeah. And the last thing I wanted to do was, I was angry. I wasn't, and that's the night I found your double bear print.
Yeah.
I was in a mood. I was like, everything
was
they
on the
showed me,
warpath.
I was.
On the warpath.
They're like, look at this, and I'm like, double bear print, So that I wasn't really being open to anything, and all of a sudden there I was going, holy cow.
Yeah.
What can do that?
Right.
You go out in the woods and try to make a bug be quiet.
Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is because I'm a massive Joe Rogan fan, and I don't know if he did a show called Joe Rogan Questions Everything.
Yeah.
And one of he wants to believe too, and one was that he wants to be the guy that proves there's Bigfoot. And there was a psychologist by the name of Dr. Matthew Johnson in 2000, and he was out with his family. Same exact story. The smell came first, and then like something brushed by him. And he got like really emotional and almost like cried because like he had to like basically like protect his family. Nothing ever happened, but it's like very similar to the story you just told.
Do you ever get have you ever experienced any kind of vertigo, like you're on an escalator or something? And
thankfully, no.
Okay, well, anybody who's experienced anything like that was also like the feeling, like you're looking around, but you're not able to focus. Everything is just kind of, it was the whole experience itself was just an odd,
So you definitely think that there's Bigfoots in Pennsylvania specifically?
Yeah, Pennsylvania itself, like in all Bigfoot's reports collected all time, we're in the top 10 for Bigfoot sightings. And when you look at the state of Pennsylvania, when you say, oh, Pennsylvania and Bigfoot, people go, well, Pennsylvania's a populated state. Yes, but no. You look at your, populated areas, your Philadelphia, your Pittsburgh, your, Allentown, Lehigh Valley, but everything else in the state is nothing but woods and farmlands. Even here, in the Wyoming Valley, outside the valley here in Wilkes-Barre, you go 10 minutes outside of anywhere, you're in the woods.
Right.
And the thing about the fact that you're 10 minutes away and in the woods, they say, those who believe, that Bigfoots are very curious creatures. There's so many spots around here that people have had sightings, and then when we go out to investigate, remember the one place I literally said to you, if I were Bigfoot, I would sit here. I would just
sit here and watch the traffic go by from on top of this overlook.
You were somewhere that was very difficult to get to, yet when you were up there, you could see some of the billboards that sparkle and change, and I could just sit there all. So of course, I could definitely see some kind of creature just being like, cool. Don't know what it is, but I'm gonna sit here and watch it.
What defines a sighting? Like you said, there's been all these sightings. What defines I mean, I could go out. I saw something. Does that count?
We'd ask questions.
Yeah, we'd ask questions. So basically what happens is if someone sends a sighting or an experience to us, I'll get a message on our Facebook. Hey, I seen a Bigfoot. Shoot me a message back, call me. Okay, give me more detail about it. Where were you? What was the time of day? What area were you in? Give me as much detail as possible. And throughout, the couple years doing this, I know when I could call someone's bluff and, hear a story that's so extreme where, I'll sit there and shake my head and go, and in the back of my mind, no way that happened.
Like the guys down in Pottsville?
Yeah, like the guys down in Pottsville. But then there's, other times where someone tells me a story and I go, I hear you. The same thing happened to us. I know exactly where you're talking about. We've had 5 other sightings in that area. And someone submitting a sighting or an encounter to us, they have nothing to gain. We're not finding Bigfoot. We're not going to put you on national TV to get your 5 minutes of fame.
We never meet a lot of these people.
Yeah.
We just chat with them a little bit and maybe never hear from them again. So, and some of them will literally say, I'm not telling you my name, or I'm not telling you where I live, because I don't want people to think I'm crazy, but I know what I saw. And I feel like those people, if you've been in nature at all, and you've seen bear, you know what a bear is. You know what a bear looks like. And a bear has a snout, and a bear has those little bear ears, and a bear doesn't look like what people would perceive a Bigfoot to be, and I think when people are calling, they haven't seen a bear. They've seen something that they don't know what it is, but unless it's very, very dark, it's doubtful it was a bear, because they're pretty easy to,
Sure, I think the only time you could really mistake it is if it's on its hind legs,
Right.
which, I mean, is
Right.
But
rare.
they
I mean,
still
it happens,
have
but
a snout. They
Sure.
still have
It'd have to be from pretty far away
they
to
still,
not,
yeah.
Yeah, and I've had hunters come up and tell me and say, I've hunted this area for 30 years. The other spring, I'm not going to tell you where I was or where I hunt, but I had an experience. Trust me, they're out there, and I'll never go back to that area again.
For a hunter to say that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We did a presentation in Pittston at the, what was the name of that place? I don't even remember.
Oh, up at the Petro?
The Petro. And what I thought was interesting is people knew I was with them. I didn't talk really that night. The 3 guys were there. They all pretty much talked. And I had people following me. I had someone follow me into the bathroom. But they were, I guess I was kind of the safe one. And what amazed me that night was how many people were telling me about the same area, but none of these people knew each other. And there was a couple hundred people. That was a big presentation. And I said to these guys, remember we got the map and we started,
yes.
we got this map and I started, because I said, these guys are all, they're coming at it from different directions, but it was basically up behind Lake Scranton.
Oh, okay.
And we wanted to get up there that weekend. And they had that
the tornado hit there.
that weekend. The day we were, he gets up in the morning, he goes, I'm still going to go. I'm like, babe, I don't think you're going to be able to get up there. He goes, yeah, I'll get up there. No, that was closed for almost a year before so we still haven't gotten up there. But unbelievable how many people hit me up that night to just say, hey, and, some of them were a little closer to it and some of them were far, but in that general area.
Right.
And a lot of them were hunters. And a hunter, they know a wild animal. They know what they see. So when they tell you there's something that, I saw that now I don't want to go back in the woods.
Right. I mean, I even had 2 people have a sighting in the exact same spot a year apart. Same power line, same circumstances. The Bigfoot was doing the same exact thing.
People that didn't know each other.
People that didn't know each other.
Okay.
Within 100 yards of each other. Same power line, same exact spot a year apart.
So those are the kind of things that really get my mind going, because if it's not something that we published or it's not something they could have read somewhere, then how could 2 people come up with the same story that don't know, they've never met, yet they're going to give us pretty much the same details.
Right. Now, I'm sure you hear a lot, people probably say, well, how come we don't have good pictures or good video? How come especially in this day and age where we have such, much better technology?
Right, and my answer to that usually is you're out in the woods hiking or you're on some country road driving. A Bigfoot runs across in front of you, or you're hiking and one's 200 yards up in front of the trail on you.
Right.
By the time you process what you're seeing, think to go, I better get my phone out and take a picture and snap it.
Sure,
it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times that we were out in the woods and a deer walks in front of our trail. Oh, that's slowly. Oh, that's an awesome picture.
3 of us got our cameras out.
And by the time we do that,
we got his ass.
Yeah.
We got the tail.
So,
right.
What about setting up cameras and stuff like that, like in areas, and letting them run? I mean, the technology
the
we
game
have.
cameras. For whatever reason, they have like I don't know if it's through whatever, but they know if a game camera's there. I don't know if they have some kind of like where they could sense the electronics or whatever, and it's in their genetics to stay hidden and not be seen.
Somebody explained it once, like how they say a dog can hear frequencies that a human can't.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Can't see. I also heard somebody say it'd be like somebody putting a game cam in your living room.
What's the first thing you're going to notice? If
you're going to walk in and go, "Oh, what's that red blinking light? That was never there before."
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that I could put a camera in someone's living room and then not know.
But I think it's more that frequency thing that I mean,
I've
know.
done it before. I've bugged tons of apartments.
Jason, don't tell him where we live.
Okay.
No, but I think
people, it's done all the time. So that does boggle my mind because I've seen some really cool game camera stuff. Recently there was something on Facebook that went viral with that gorgeous snowy owl that flew in front of a weather or a traffic. It was a traffic camera. So every now and then somebody thinks they have something.
Right.
But right, and actually, one of the most famous pieces of Bigfoot evidence is a game cam picture from Pennsylvania. I think it was 2007 or 8, out in the western part of the state, the Jacobs photo. So it shows what a lot of people think is like a young Bigfoot, and it's hunched over, almost like playing with its feet, and just the way it's like hunched over, no way could it be a bear or anything else. It almost looks like a young monkey, like leaning over.
Do you think that these are, some kind of like an ape offshoot of some sort? That they have this intelligence, that they can walk on 2 feet, and that they are hairy like an ape?
Right.
Do you think it's kind of an offshoot of that?
What my theory is, and every person in the Bigfoot world has their own theory on what it could be, but way back in the day, there's a giant ape in the Stone Age, or whatever you want to call it, Gigantopithecus.
Yes. I was doing a little reading before.
So my theory is, way back in the day, Gigantopithecus came over the land bridge into North America, and it may have interbred with early humans. So you kind of have this ape-human mixture, and just over time, like humans evolved, this thing evolved and adapted to the area it's in, and here we are, a couple thousand years later, and there's Bigfoot.
I can believe that because people are fucked up.
Yes. Absolutely.
I could picture that happening.
You know what else?
And that, back in the Stone Age, you got caveman and this ape, and
you're lonely.
Caveman sleeping in the cave. Here comes ape.
Well, cave woman. It would be
cave woman. What?
Yeah.
A couple years ago, we went up to Maine to a cryptozoology museum. Who has that?
Leonard Cohen.
Okay, and it blew my mind how many different species have been discovered in the last 50 years. Just the last, there was an entire tribe of people somewhere in some rainforest that was just discovered. There's this giant, remember that big octopus?
Yeah.
Like stuff that was always a myth, but is now 100% proven to exist. That has been, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that there are still species that, and there was a lot of really odd fish, remember?
Yeah.
That, people, and they had actual examples of all these things there. But that was a little surprising because I expected it to be a Bigfoot museum, and it really wasn't. It was more about all of the creatures that, people say exist, and sometimes they find them. So again, not out of the realm of possibility.
So what would you guys do if you found one? What would be your first reaction? What would you try?
She always asks me, and I always answer. I would say, "Do you like pie?"
But, my name is Jason. Do you like pie? I like pie.
But no,
it's just a joke between the two of us.
No, on a serious note, I'd probably crap my pants.
I would think. Yeah. That would be a natural human reaction.
Yeah. But and then try to get a picture or a video.
Sure.
And then waddle myself out of the woods and change my pants.
Well, one of the things that your group says in the description right away is that you wouldn't try to hunt or kill it.
No, we're definitely no kill. My goal is, whether I get a video or not, to see one with my own eyes. Mm-hmm. And whether the video or whatever picture comes second, that's fine with me. But just to see one with my own eyes.
So it's not so much about proving it to other people as much as it is to prove it to yourself.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
What about like a dart gun, like a tranquilizer?
One of those little
Yeah. I picture like an old school and the Bigfoot slowly running,
Yeah, right.
Like crank the tank, yeah.
But have you thought about that?
He carries. He does carry in the woods. He's got a license to carry, but more for protection.
Not a gun. I don't want to. Let's not kill it, but like a trank gun.
If you want to come out in the woods with us and carry a trank gun,
I feel like we have to do that because
Right. I mean,
the
odds.
It out and then drag it out of the woods.
The odds of actually seeing one. I mean, for all the investigations we do, I come out with maybe 2 good pieces of evidence a year.
Is this one of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the one footprint is.
The one footprint is a 3rd generation cast of the Patterson-Gimlin film from the 60s.
Oh yeah, which you can watch down below if you didn't catch that before.
Yeah.
We posted like the brief version.
So I seen you posted that, so I thought it would only be good to
totally
bring that in
sense.
as an example.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about these a
All
little bit.
So what we have here, just as an example, the famous Patterson-Gimlin film. This is a 3rd generation footprint casting from the site where they filmed it.
Okay.
So I don't know if I have to turn it that way or.
Yeah. How did you get that?
Our friend Mike, who runs a group out in New Jersey, he does it on the side and he makes replica casts of it. So.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. So he gave it to me. One time we were all out together. So I kind of use this as my baseline, for when I compare.
So are you convinced that video is real?
Oh, 100%.
You think that's real?
Yeah. Even by today's standards, from what I've read and watched, not even the best Hollywood makeup guy could reproduce what that thing did that day. So this is a footprint casting we took 2 years ago.
Okay. And
this was outside of Wapwallopin on private property. The area we took it in, the guy's kid, he was out. They have their house backs up to the woods and a power line, and the deal with power lines is it's like a Bigfoot highway. Like a power line to a Bigfoot is driving down 81. When they're walking around and trying to get around at night. So for a while, they were hearing knocks, and they have a chicken coop in their yard, and so they think it might have came in to try to take the chickens, but his kid was out there in the woods kind of messing around a little bit and comes running in, Dad, you need to come out and see this. So we go out, or he goes out, and there's an entire trackway of Bigfoot footprints right there. Gets a hold of us on the phone with him for 45 minutes. He's out there marking everything, covering stuff with tarps. I go up the next day, and we make the casting.
Okay.
Can you tell us what we're seeing in that?
Yeah, you want to?
Yep.
So this is the entire print. You could see the big toe right there and all the other toes kind of going across.
Now, one of the other prints you have shows that medermal ridge too.
Yeah.
Real good. And that's one of the ways you can kind of tell sometimes a footprint over a double bear print is, a double bear print, you're almost going to be able to see the toes within but if you get a true medermal ridge, only a foot does that, And
it is very similar to the other one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar in size and shape and...
Could that have been Shaquille O'Neal, though?
Yeah, he's out in the woods of Wallop and hanging
barefoot.
out. Barefoot.
Yeah, that's probably...
some of their prints, though, that they have photographs of, were done down by the Berwick, what was that?
Down by the power plant on the Riverlands.
On the Riverlands, in the snow. And they're about this size, and they're very detailed. And you can't cast them because they're in the snow, but they have pictures of them. Who would do that? Who would walk through, and it was really cold when this was all, who would, and it went into a trail of brush and broken trees and just kind of, so it's not like a trail leading to the river or a trail leading to a car. No, this went to where you couldn't follow them anymore because the brush got so thick. So,
And how do you make those casts?
Plaster of Paris. So you just, the plaster of Paris, you just mix it with water, you get a nice consistent base, pour it into the cast, or the footprint, and let it sit for about an hour, 90 minutes, dig it out.
And then brush it.
Brush it. Try to clean it up as best as you could.
We're actually going to go on Valentine's Day and speak to a group of Girl Scouts and show them how to cast prints. So if they're ever, if it's rabbit or deer or whatever, and they just want to do a cast or a print,
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's something good to know.
Something for them to do.
I feel like that's my dad has a million stories about being in Boy Scouts. I feel like that's kind of a dying thing in general. You don't see kids going out and exploring nature anymore.
The beauty of this is, again, that whole unplugged thing. Mm-hmm. Yes, he takes his phone, but it's more about getting out there in nature, really getting in tune with. A Bigfoot hike it's just a walk in the woods. You're pretty quiet. You don't talk a lot. You're observing. And sometimes you don't realize the beauty that's in this area until you're just out there in the middle of it, and you're just like, wow, we live here. A lot of people complain about Penn. Oh, we live in a hole. There's nothing here. It's a beautiful state.
Right.
There are some beautiful, we go up to Wilkes-Barre. We go to the Grand Canyon. We've had some weird stuff happen up there. But gorgeous state and scenery and waterfalls and woods and, so getting into all that. And I think that's something kids don't do anymore.
No, that's true.
Right. It's something like the whole family could do. They could go up to, Ricketts Glen or Francis Slocum or, anywhere. And there's plenty of, great hiking areas and go on a Bigfoot hike and, Nescapeck State Park and, all places we've been and, look for evidence and
I think you're right. We take it for granted that it's
at the end of the day, if you found nothing, you spent a day in the woods.
That's true.
So, what have you really lost? You haven't spent money on overpriced snacks in an arena somewhere.
Yeah.
You've spent a day in the woods with your family.
Yeah, so and even though 99% of the time I don't find any evidence, I could come out and say, hey, I've got to see some of the, coolest places in Pennsylvania as far as nature goes and got some great experiences and pictures and,
Yeah.
Let's grab some comments quick.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. We have Gary Johnson says, long time no see, Jason.
Oh, Gary, we love Gary. Gary.
He's quite active here in
the
comments.
Gary's one of our favorite Facebook people.
Nice.
He likes to post on our Facebook page, and he's always got something great to say. So, cheers to Gary.
This is quite good, by the way. This is the Nimble Hill orange.
Orange
that we're all
cream ale.
Waiting to try.
Yeah, this is very good. I like this.
It has that sort of like a creamsicle sort of taste to it. Tara Adams says, Bigfoot skeptic here, but I'm open to believing if the evidence is convincing. Let's see. I don't know how this is relevant. I mean, maybe this was relevant to something we said earlier. Jason Black says people do a lot of bath salts in PA. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the couple that we have here today.
No, we actually get that a lot. What happens is we'll post an investigation on Facebook, and people will start tagging other friends in it, and before you know it, you get the whole thing. Oh, what kind of drugs or mushrooms are they on?
Right,
Bunch of drunk hillbillies out there drinking in the woods, and and it's.
Yeah, actually, it was kind of a bummer for me the first time I ever went out with them on a hike. They don't drink in the woods, and I'm like, dude, where's the beer? And he's like, no. I'm like, really? So they that part of it, you guys take serious.
Yeah. Now later on around the campfire, it's different.
It's
but,
all bets are off.
Does it bother you to hear people who just kind of shoot it down, or like, do you really want to convince people, or is it kind of like, you know what, we're gonna put it out there and it is what it is?
Yeah, because you know what, the way I look at it is, if you come onto our site and comment about what a bunch of schmucks we are, and
you still came onto our site.
That's true.
Number one, you still came onto our site, and of your 300 or 400 friends on Facebook that seen you comment, maybe 10 or 15 of them are Bigfoot people, and they're now going to like our site. And maybe of that 10 or 15 people, maybe one of them had that experience in the woods, and we're going to get that story.
So it's really about getting the community together. On this whole thing. So it doesn't matter.
And we're at the point where we've been doing it long enough to where if we get someone that messages us from the other side of the state, I'm not going to be able to drive out there and check into your sighting, but I know 5 or 6 other investigators out there that I could hook you up with, and they could help you out a lot better than me at the moment, but I would still love to hear your story.
Tommy Stone says, that's Shaq's footprint.
See?
Even
I told you.
I don't know if Nike makes that size.
They do. His foot's definitely that size, maybe bigger. Have you seen that man?
Not in Wapalafin.
Not in Wapalafin.
Maybe he's elusive like the Bigfoot.
Maybe. Connor Langan has a good question. What's the stance on Yeti, snow Bigfoot, or a different creature entirely? Like, there's a lot of different names for it and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. I mean, even here in the United States, there's different names. In Ohio, it's the Grassman. Virginia's, the wood booger. Down south in Florida and the Carolinas, it's the swamp ape. And Yeti's just another Bigfoot type creature. In Australia, it's the yowie. And it's just their version of a Bigfoot creature that's adapted to its environment. So the Bigfoot here in Pennsylvania aren't the same size or type or personality that might be out in California or Oregon or Washington or down in Florida or...
Yeah, the video we were talking about earlier, that was from California,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So it might be totally different here.
Yeah, I mean they're, still Bigfoot, but the way people live and perceive each other in Pennsylvania is different than out in California. Same thing with Bigfoot.
And so there's the Yeti, there's a Sasquatch. Does it matter to you what it's called?
No.
No, it doesn't.
No. Just as long as you don't call them late for dinner.
Let me see. I was just, it's funny, you were talking about Rogan earlier. So I was listening to some of his stuff on it and his stance, and he's kind of on the skeptic side of, he hasn't really been convinced or anything. And then he just had, I guess it ties into what people are talking about currently. Travis Barker from Blink-182 was on Joe Rogan's podcast. And he had said that Tom DeLonge, their former singer,
he's all into UFOs, and he's written like books on UFOs, and he's like crazy nuts into it, I think. Yeah,
he said he would go out of his way when they were touring to go on Bigfoot searches and stuff.
Right.
Like he'd take a pack of guys out and go out in the woods and stuff like that. So that's interesting.
I mean, there's pretty much nowhere that's off limits. Like on our honeymoon, we were Bigfooting.
We were Bigfooting on the honeymoon.
There,
Get me to a
like
state park or state forest.
When we're driving through a wooded area, we were up in the Finger Lakes and we ended up on a dirt road going, and he's like, oh, we're on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, take me to a winery.
You mentioned evidence before. What constitutes as evidence for Bigfoot?
All right, evidence, obviously, our footprint casts. Bigfoots are also known, they make these gnarly-looking tree structures in the woods. So they kind of use it as, like, markers for different things. Kind of think of it, you're driving down the highway, exit 45. That's our version of exit 45. Go here, there's a deer herd.
There's structures, but not like structures
source
they would live in. But they're definitely, I've seen things that nature couldn't do. Definitely.
Yeah, think of, all these down-fallen trees, and they're all placed together and all gnarly looking, and something,
Or where people have had sightings, and let's say there's like any type of fencing or barbed wire, and they've collected hair, or even, telephone poles, how they're like rough. And they, like I said, there's been a lot of these things analyzed, and they come back as in like there's nothing to match it to. And that just, I mean, we've got some rescue dogs that are a little crazy. But I'm sure if you took one hair from one dog and one hair from another dog and sent them to a lab, they could probably come back and tell us which dog, that individual hair. So now you're going to take hair in this day and age, it just, that kind of stuff just blows my mind. Like, what do you mean it doesn't match anything?
Right. And then even sounds like howls, screams, wood knocks. A wood knock is if a Bigfoot, takes something and starts banging it off a tree. At least in my mind, it's like a Bigfoot text message. What's going on? Where are you at? I'm here. Where are you? They do the same thing with rocks. They'll grab two big rocks and start banging it together. And so if, you're out in the woods and you're the only ones out on the mountain, and all of a sudden you hear like someone taking a baseball bat and banging it off a tree, and echoing all through the valley.
So they have to be pretty intelligent to be able to do that, and
right?
To communicate with other creatures or other ones like them, to make those kinds of sounds and to put that kind of stuff together.
There's a lot of things you're saying that are clues or evidence. How do we know that that's evidence if it's never been proven that they exist?
But that's just it.
Yeah.
It's evidence of something. Okay. So what I'm saying is there's something out there.
Yeah, there's something out there leaving giant footprints, or something out there.
Leaving clumps of hair.
Something out there leaving
poop that can't, that's in that community where they do those, that's, they gather. And usually when you take it to a lab, they can come back and say, this was a bear, this was a moose, this was whatever. But when they come back and they go, we got nothing. That kind of surprises me.
Yeah, or something out there making crazy-looking stick and tree formations that's not nature, or the wind blowing stuff over, and it's something I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Bigfoot, but
what to follow up with that, Tom asks, what areas of PA do you find the most evidence?
Oh, you'll have to come out to Bigfoot and Brews for that.
We've had a lot of, let's just say, we've had a lot of local sightings in surprising places. And enough of them to make us really start looking into some of these spots and going, there's got to be something here. Again, because they're totally different people getting in touch with us.
I'll say Susskind and Thornhurst. Everybody's heard the legend of the Susskind Screamer, and all that. And when people tell Susskind Screamer stories, in my mind I go, no, that's what a Bigfoot would do. So you're looking out that way.
Now there are, when we were up in Susskind, there are some crazy things up there.
Yeah.
There's fisher cats. Did you ever hear of fisher cat? Mm-hmm. They're pretty weird and howly and screechy.
Yeah.
And
did you ever hear of fisher cat?
Yeah, they're real.
Hooking up with another fisher cat at 2 a.m.
Oh, that's
even wilder.
Oh yeah, fisher cats are real. You can look up fisher cats.
They're real.
Yeah, and the noises they make are just off the wall. So could some people sometimes be hearing things like that? Absolutely. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon and say everything you hear or see is a Bigfoot. But those things you can't identify, could they be? Until you can prove to me they can't be.
Right.
I will believe.
Yeah,
at least a little bit.
Yeah, that area. We've also had a lot of good luck up there past Ricketts Glen, Red Rock area, Gamelands 57, 13.
Danuta asks, do you have pictures of the structure example to bring on Sunday?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we're, on Sunday we're going to have a PowerPoint going. We're going to have,
oh, cool.
Yeah, so we're going to have everything projected up onto the wall and...
Yeah, what can we expect on Sunday? I guess we should get into that.
All right, yeah, because we are getting close on time, aren't we? This flew by. Okay.
We can go a little.
Yeah,
over,
there's going to be a good PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah. So Sunday for Bigfoot and Brews, Susquehanna Brewing Company. We're going to start talking around 4 o'clock, maybe a little bit after. Give people time to filter and have a couple beers. And we're just going to talk about Bigfoot in Pennsylvania, Bigfoot locally, different experiences we've had, different stories people have come to us with.
I'm going to dig out the map.
Yeah. We're going to have, pictures we've taken from out in the woods, different tree structures. Some of our footprint pictures, our castings are going to be there.
We're going to do a howling contest.
Yeah, we're going to do a Bigfoot howl calling contest. Winner gets a free beer on the house.
That's cool.
So it's all ages. If you want to bring your kids are big into, Bigfoot. Everybody's welcome to come on down.
I feel like Bigfoot is something that as a kid, a kid's imagination, that's something like that a kid believes, and that a kid, there's something in the woods, and we kind of grow up and we kind of forget about those things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's crazy that you still believe, or if it's cool.
Well, I think what happens.
I'm not calling you crazy.
I think what happens with a lot of kids is you believe, but then how many adults really go into? I mean, yeah, you have your whole backpacking community, but other than that, how many adults spend time in the woods?
Yeah.
Really, really just go out. Every 4th of July weekend, we go to the Adirondacks to hike. Everybody goes to the beach and fireworks. We go to the Adirondacks.
No, I always say I wish I had the imagination of a child still, because I'm a miserable prick.
Yeah. I mean,
I hate everybody. The world sucks. Eat shit. But you guys have this, it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, when a little kid comes up to you with his Bigfoot book and asks for your autograph, it's like...
Oh, he was on cloud 9.
But,
there's also times, I'm not with him, and he either thinks or knows he heard something, and I could tell in his voice he did. You know what I mean? It's not just like a, hey, I'm in the woods, I think I found something. It's an, oh my God, I wish you were here. You wouldn't believe what's going on, and then the next day he hasn't slept, that... There's just things that happen that something happened.
Well, you hear that a lot too from people in general when they talk about these stories. It's like, why would people make most of these things up?
Right.
Why would they want to seem crazy to people?
Right.
Why would an ex-Marine come to talk to you at a RV show and then be like, and you can't know my name or where I live or da-da-da-da. He was just he would give us bits and pieces.
Right.
And then he'd be, no. And he just left. And I'm thinking, if there wasn't something, that dude would have never showed up. He just, he
was almost spooked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll do a presentation somewhere and someone will come to us with a story, and as they're telling you, you could see the goosebumps on their arm and the hair on their arm raise up. And
Or they'll tell you things like, ever since I saw that there, I can't go that way to work anymore. I can't drive down that road unless I'm with people. And you can tell they're genuinely afraid. They're not bullshitting. Right. Like I said, we can tell the bullshitters. We went out with some bullshitters. We've gone on hikes with some bullshitters. Right. We get back in the car and we're just like, well, that was interesting.
Right.
So we're not going to believe every story everybody tells us.
I mean, one of the stories like that, and I'll tell it here, I happened to be at work one day. I work a second job for spending money at a Garrity supermarket, and I happened to be working that day on a Saturday, and I see an older gentleman, and he's wearing a Bigfoot shirt. So I go up and introduce myself. Hey, here's our business card or whatever. He goes, do I have a story for you? He was driving back from his kid's house in Williamsport, going down 118, sort of by Ricketts Glen, by the Ricketts Glen Hotel restaurant area. And he had to stop and use the bathroom. Pulls over, at nighttime, side of the road. It's taking a leak on the side of the road. He goes 25 yards up in front of my headlights. Across the road it went. And he goes, "Never will I travel that road again alone at night." So, when you get a random stranger in a grocery store to tell you the story just because you say you like a shirt,
right?
Like...
Yeah, he has nothing to gain by that.
Yeah, I would go back.
Yeah, but would you, or you don't know? I don't think you know until it happens. It's like the day that I was in that spot with the smell.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to that spot.
The smell would kind of throw me off, I think.
That was a weird day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in the little bit of reading that I did before this to kind of just get some background, a lot of people mentioned that there's a very strong smell before or after they saw whatever they saw.
Yeah, that's the second or third time I had that smell.
That was my first and only time with the smell, and if I never have the smell again, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, the other time was up on Jonestown Mountain in Berwick.
Yeah, I wasn't with you on that time. Jonestown Mountains had a lot of stuff come out of it.
You guys have done a couple of speaking engagements at other places and stuff like that. So how do those go? What kind of people show up to them? What are the reactions?
Every kind of person you can imagine, from families to just lonely people to
hunters
hunters and
people
that are just there because they want to tell you a story.
Yeah, people that want to come just to bust our nuts or
we've people who are into like the
Yeah.
shapeshifters. So they're like, is Bigfoot a shapeshifter? I'm like,
does it
if
travel
that's
through
what you
dimensions
believe,
and
if that's what you believe, that that it's not where we're at, but I'm okay if that's what you want to believe.
Yeah, there's a whole different side of the community where people believe Bigfoots come through portals and are aliens and shapeshift and I'll post a cool nature picture I took on the thing and someone will draw 10 red circles and say there's 10 of them watching you.
And I'm like, no, there's nothing in that picture at all.
But hey, cool, you're in the Bigfoot community, okay, But that's a whole different interview for another day.
Oh yeah, sure, that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole nother topic.
We got a big surprise. We did a presentation in Pittston, and there were so many people we had to do two. Because what was there 400 or 500 people there?
Oh wow!
And so we were asking questions like, well, who came the farthest? So these people raised their hands and they came from Canada. I said, great, where are you on your way to? They said, here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you came here to hear us? They're like, yeah. And I was just like, huh. Yeah. That was the place that I had people literally follow me into the bathroom going, I'm not going to get up in front of people. I don't want to tell people, but I saw this here. And that's when I was like, we need a map. I need to start putting things on a map. When people start, because some of these people, like I said, you can, after you've talked to people for a while, you get the sense of the crazy ones and the
people that have at least something that makes you believe,
right?
That makes you feel like it's real.
And even with our presentations, depending how many people show up, usually you have a plan you're going to run through and stories you're going to tell and evidence you're going to want to share. And sometimes you get off the rails. Sometimes it turns into a giant Q&A session, and you kind of just go with whatever is happening.
Which is great though, because sometimes that gives us a whole new area to go and explore. People start asking questions or saying, I saw this here. Just like we still need to get up behind Lake Scranton, So, and that's how we get our, it's not like we've got some crystal ball and we go, where should we look for Bigfoot today? We go, what are people saying? Where should we go?
I mean, even if you've seen something 30 years ago, I'll do my best to get up there and follow up. And if we're not getting a lot of sightings at the time, I'll go on Google Maps and kind of look around and go, that looks like a good area. I could get into that area and walk around a little bit and see if anything's up there.
How much of that stuff is mapped out? I mean, because obviously the roads and stuff are, but like up in the woods and that kind of thing. Can you tell what can you tell from just maps and stuff? Or what do you think is a good place to look?
I mean, we do a lot on state game lands and state forests.
Where was the place with the caves?
Oh, that was Game Lands 206 down in Sweet Valley,
so
off of Palta Road.
What I call like a place that would support something hiding. This place had so many caves, and it was such a sketchy path going in.
It was probably one of the creepiest areas we've ever
been.
Where
is Sweet Valley? I grew up there.
So if you're going down...
Right past the shooting range.
Yeah.
There was a shooting range, and then...
So if you're going down 118, maybe about 15 miles before you hit Ricketts Glen, you can make a left. It's Palta Road.
Okay.
And you could follow that, and it goes in the state game lands, and you go down a dirt road into a hollow, and
So we were in the hollow, and when we got into this area with the caves, like, you couldn't have paid me enough money. Like, if somebody would have said, here's $1 million, go look in that cave. Nope, staying right here on the path. But we're walking on the path, and then what was even creepier is out of nowhere, one of those freak thunderstorm, like, crack, boom, rain, like, and we're running for the cars, but even Bob was saying that day, like, the hair on his arms was standing up. That was the kind of place you wanted to look in the background of your pictures and be like, is there anything actually, you know?
Yeah.
We gotta go back up there.
I was just up there.
Were you?
Remember?
Oh, yeah. On a nice day, though, without a thunderstorm.
Anybody, if you, last chance for comments. If you say whether you believe or don't believe, I'd be interested to maybe a poll of anybody who's listening right now, whether you buy into these ideas.
And if you want to get a hold of us, we're on Facebook. Just in your search bar, Pennsylvania Bigfoot Investigations. Facebook.com/PA Bigfoot INV. Send us a message, like our Facebook. Write a message to us, call us a bunch of morons. I really don't care. Just like the Facebook page. Come to Bigfoot and Brews on Sunday at Susquehanna Brewing Company.
Yeah. And especially if you're one of those people who doesn't want to say publicly whether you believe or not.
And if you could always send us a private message. We usually get right back to you.
We don't share when people say private. We never share people's names or we just say so and so. Person got a hold of us from
this area. We went and checked it out. Yeah.
One of the comments we got earlier before we had started, AJ Lesher said, I have a strong feeling the footage is fake and all the supposed Bigfoot sightings are just bears walking on their hind legs. So I mean, there's people who definitely
that are still skeptics and
absolutely. Rogan had mentioned quite a bit that after talking to so many people, he had I watched another episode too. He was hanging out with Bobcat Goldthwait, and he had done like a little short movie. That was actually a good Bigfoot movie. He's very convinced himself. Yeah.
Now we had an actual bear run-in while camping. In the middle of the night, a bear ate all of our stuff. Man. But when I looked behind me and saw that bear, not for 1 second did I say, Jason, that might be a Bigfoot. I said, Jason, there's a fucking bear, run to the bathroom. We did the worst thing possible. Yeah. We ran. We took off like
And when we got to the bathroom, what's the first thing I asked you?
He goes, are you sure that wasn't a Bigfoot? And I said, I am 100% sure that was a large bear next to our tent. Yes. So, you knew. And that's why when people say, I saw it, but it wasn't a bear, that's what makes me go, if they knew it wasn't a bear.
Well, I like the fact that you're saying, it's not 100% a Bigfoot, but it's something that
something.
We can't
something,
figure.
Yeah.
Right. Gary said, when people are afraid to find them, does that mean they're chicken? Maybe. I don't know.
Gary found one out down in the hollow somewhere. And Gary knows. Follow Gary and you'll know.
Before we go, too, I want to play a quick kind of not necessarily a game per se.
Okay.
But we used to do this all the time. We would have guests on and make them say yes or no to certain things. And we haven't done it in a long time, so this would be a good opportunity to do it. So the game is, and it's not a win or lose sort of thing, just whether you believe or don't believe in these particular things. I looked up a list of conspiracy theories and random things that people believe or don't believe in. I'm just curious what you guys think of each of them. So it's just a yes or no on things, essentially. Aliens.
Yes.
Yes.
Ghosts.
Yes.
Loch Ness Monster.
Maybe.
Okay. Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil is a Bigfoot.
I think it's a Bigfoot.
It's a Bigfoot.
Yeah. It's a Bigfoot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They're very similar.
Very
did
similar.
Did you give them the questions before they got here?
I did
They
not.
have the same exact answers.
Well, wait till we get into the really crazy ones.
All right.
I made sure to
no age questions, please.
No. The Earth is flat.
No.
Okay. See? No. The moon landing was fake.
No.
No, I don't believe that.
Elvis is alive.
Yes.
No, I don't believe Elvis
No.
is alive.
No, I think he's in a trailer park in West Virginia with whoever else hanging out.
Okay.
Jimmy Hoffa?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Tupac. Yeah. Biggie. Chemtrails. That
I don't even know what that is.
That the government or whomever flies planes over and drops chemicals on people or plants or all kinds of
jets
things.
with the
Yeah.
lines.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
No.
The vaccines cause autism.
No.
No.
Thank you.
Yes. JFK was killed by the government, or that there was a conspiracy to kill him, that it wasn't just one guy.
Man, that's
Maybe.
That's a good.
I gotta watch some History Channel documentaries on that
I'm kind of, as much as I'm skeptic about a lot of things, that one I think there is something.
I've never even thought about that before.
Yeah.
No, you never thought about JFK?
Inside Job.
Yeah, that's kind of a famous one. You see a lot of documentaries and stuff about it.
Huh.
Something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
9/11. There's lots of stuff around 9/11. So I'll just say in general that it was an inside job, or that it wasn't terrorists, that it was bombs or missiles. I've heard a lot of different theories on that.
I will say this. I believe 9/11 was a terrorist attack. I believe Shanksville was orchestrated.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
That's just my belief.
The Pennsylvania one is very much. There's definitely some stuff that makes you question for sure. The Sandy Hook. Now that one caused a lot of controversy. That one I don't think is remotely true.
No.
Be careful, we'll get kicked off the internet.
Yeah, right.
Alex Jones.
Well, it's funny. I was just reading a couple of days ago that YouTube was trying to dial that stuff back a lot. That people would get in their recommended videos, conspiracy theory videos and stuff, and that people were complaining. So they're like, "Yeah, we're going to try to tone that down and not recommend that to as many people or whatever," because that stuff is pretty rampant. I don't think YouTube could not recommend it us to any less people at this point. So I guess just talking about conspiracy theories is pointless.
Yeah, get us out there.
Yeah. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, please fucking share this shit, because we're so sick of YouTube burying everything that we do. Facebook we do pretty well on, but it seems like YouTube is just a tough nut to crack. It has to be stuff that has a national audience. I think we're so niche that not as many people are looking for us on there. The Illuminati, or the New World Order, that there's a greater conspiracy pulling the strings of the government.
New World Order, NWO, like Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan.
No, not that New World Order. No,
okay.
No.
Oh man.
I'm going to stay away from anything political because you're going to send me off on a whole tangent
That's
that
fair.
you don't
Yeah,
want to see me go on.
That's true. Okay, that's fair. Let's see. The deep state. I guess you should stay out of that one too. That there's a deep state conspiracy inside the government that even other people in the government don't know about.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right. So some easier ones. Vampires.
I don't believe in
No.
that.
No. Werewolves.
No.
Does that fall in Bigfoot at all?
There's a subculture where there's these dogman creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they could kind of fall in that umbrella.
Yeah.
You know.
They're dogs.
Dogman. Dogs. There's one up in Susquehanna 10 years ago.
Okay. Well, I won't touch on religion, but maybe the Antichrist. Do you think the world's going to end if something could show up and say, all right, that's the end of everything?
Someday the world's going to end.
Well, someday.
Thanos?
Yes. Yes. Well, at least half of us.
Yeah, half of us.
Half of us will disappear. Global warming is a hoax.
Yes. No.
Global warming is real.
Global warming is definitely real.
Yes.
Definitely
global warming is bad.
But it's so cold.
And then the next day
I love
it's
that
70.
people don't know the difference between
Global
climate
warming
and weather.
and, yeah.
Cold.
The fluoride is in the water, making people sick or dumbing them down. Have you ever heard that one?
No.
I've heard that
Never
one,
heard of
and
it.
I don't think there's fluoride in the water, but I believe in certain places there are things that have
that could
infiltrated, and yeah.
I think it's more pollution than anything. I don't think it's a purposeful thing.
I don't think it's a purposeful thing, but I do believe that there have been a lot of things caused by.
It has to be.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think there definitely is.
Yeah.
No question on that. Let's see. Last one, Pearl Harbor. Do you think that was a conspiracy?
No.
I think that just happened the way that it happened.
Yeah, I'm not gonna weigh in on that one. My son
That's
just went to
fair.
boot camp. He's in the Navy, and he loves the whole Pearl Harbor thing. He wants to go there.
Connor Langan says space is fake.
How can space be fake?
They're
Space
making
is
a
space.
Space Force, bro.
I know. Come on.
Paul, that's one too. Paul McCartney is actually dead and was replaced by a look-alike and a sound-alike.
He did do a song with Kanye West.
I've heard that. I've heard that one before too. All right. Well, thank you for playing my game.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
appreciate it. See, and I think that assuages some fears. They're like, oh, well, what else do these guys believe in? But you guys seem pretty level-headed.
We try our best.
I'm convinced on that level. I don't think you guys.
We're not
crazies
nuts.
or anything.
We're gonna
You
go
probably
home
know what you're
we're
getting
gonna go
into
home
when
and have
you
a
know you had
long
us.
discussion about a dog man, though.
How'd you get divorced? Well, we're on the NEPA podcast.
Yeah, we got into a
I think
debate
it's
about
gonna
a dog
take a
man.
lot more than that to split us up.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I want to know how Facebook decides how you're a top fan. You see that thing?
I thought you made me.
That's a new
No.
thing now. I
got
guess
a-
if
I got a badge, too.
the more people that comment or
No.
share stuff,
I don't know.
I think that they.
I never seen that on ours. So.
I don't know. I don't know if you have to
That's new,
reach
yeah.
a certain amount of fans or
Oh,
how
I don't
that
know.
exactly works. You know,
I
Facebook
got-
doesn't
I
reveal
got-
any of this
I
stuff.
was a top fan of the NEPA scene page.
Oh,
And I was
nice.
a top fan of something else today too. I forget.
I mean, I should be a top fan. I've liked and shared everything you posted.
Absolutely.
The past.
I don't, maybe you'll go home.
Yeah,
and
maybe
find
I'll
out that you
go and
will.
I'll be on there.
So, anything else you let's plug the event again.
Right,
where to go? What
all right,
time? All that good stuff.
All right, Sunday, 4 p.m. Susquehanna Brewing Company, Bigfoot and Brews. We're going to be there talking about Bigfoot, local sightings, going into more details about stories. I mean, if this was Bigfoot 101, this is Bigfoot 201.
Okay.
You know, coming up
And there's
on Sunday.
delicious beer.
And there's delicious beer.
Yeah, I mean that alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Ask
you-
for the schnozberries.
You don't believe? At least you can.
Drink
Believe
beer,
you
and
can
maybe
drunk.
after 5 or 6 beers, you might believe. I don't
5,
know.
6, 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Schnozberries
I
do
don't
taste like schnozberries. And you have a website.
We don't have a website.
You
We're
have a
just on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Okay.
We're technologically inclined, so we kind of stop at Facebook.
But we do love when people give us
Yeah.
stories and sightings and places to go, and it gives
Yeah.
us that, honey, where are we going to go this weekend kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And if anybody wants to buy us a thermal camera, you know,
You've been plugging that for years.
I
babe.
have been.
Give it up.
Yeah. I mean, hey, maybe start a crowdfunding thing or
Yeah.
something like that. You never know.
hmm
Especially if people are coming from Canada to see
Yeah.
guys.
I know.
I know, right?
You never know. You might have a generous benefactor from another state or something.
Be a rich man or woman,
Yeah.
and like, well, I'm too old to do this, but here's this money.
Maybe
for this.
Bobcat will
Yeah.
see this. And,
Here's $100,000. Take a year off of work and go bigfooting for an entire year. you know.
That's like a dream right there.
That's
right?
a dream,
Oh.
you know.
Can we go to Norway?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if there's Bigfoot there. I don't think so, but
But
we
the
can
Northern
go.
Lights are there.
We can go.
So there's something there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Oh,
for
thank you
coming
for
on.
having us. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, this was a lot of fun. And make sure that you go and check out this event. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
going to be packed. Most things at SBC usually do pretty
Yeah.
well, but obviously if you guys are pulling in big crowds at the library,
Yeah. Yeah.
which you never see anymore.
Yeah.
So, getting people to the library is great, but
And that's the other thing. We are open to, contact us if we're going to speak to a local Girl Scout
Yeah.
troop on Valentine's Day. So if you want us to come and talk and we can fit in our schedule.
And I don't know why I kept looking at that camera. Is that one running?
They're both.
they're both gone. Yeah.
Okay,
They're
I kept
both
for
gone.
whatever reason. You know, when I wanted to bust that third wall or whatever,
Yeah.
I kept looking at that
This
one,
one?
and I completely forgot that one was running.
Well, we've got some good camera people back there, so
Right.
if they saw
Okay.
it, they
Yes,
saw it.
they're
They'll take-
watching where you're
Okay,
looking, and
where I'm
they're,
looking.
they're
I
changing
just
it
kept looking
accordingly.
at that one for
I
whatever
didn't,
reason.
I didn't appreciate her count-in, by the way. It was very, I don't know, blah. But
Blah.
If we can work on that for next week.
Got to have more energy.
Yeah.
You know, like the count in like from Wayne's World or
Yeah,
something.
like I want to feel like
you
I want to feel like we're about to do something special, not like you don't want to be here. 5, 4.
All right, gonna go.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's get this over with. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
Thank you for having us.
And we appreciate your comments as well. Thank you guys for watching and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being here. And we will see you here same time next Wednesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Tentatively, as we're going to be talking about comics next week. So that should be interesting for me, at least anyway. This guy's probably going to be like, I don't know. But
I love comedy.
Well, this is
comics.
Comics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
like
going to talk
comic
about
books.
super nerdy shit.
Comics.
Oh, okay.
Nerdy.
Yeah, you might want to. Be more
Are
specific.
you getting? You look a little green. Are you getting sick? Is it going to come on Wednesday?
My kid might get sick Wednesday.
No, I promise you, it'll be interesting and it'll be fun. This guy is really good. We'll post more obviously in the future, but you know.
I have to bring some extra beers next week.
Yeah.
Comics.
Comics, Bigfooting. Comics, Bigfooting.
Yeah,
They could write a
Kinda
comic
connected.
about Bigfoot.
that's true.
They have, haven't they?
I'm sure. Well, there is quite a few like Wolverine is.
There actually is there actually is a Marvel Bigfoot.
There is a Bigfoot in Marvel. Yes, there's a Wendigo. There's pretty much any fantastical creature you've ever heard in mythology has been in comics at one point or another. Usually Marvel, but yeah, pretty much everybody is taking their own version of it. And that kind of
I might even be a Marvel character.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Could be Thanos. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.